here at COP28, there's been so many headlines, right? If you're watching this from anywhere else in the world but Dubai, you're mostly seeing, I think, controversy. I'm pretty excited here on the ground. The controversy is unavoidable. It's obvious. You know, it's a complicated place and way to host this event, but there's been some really great things happening on the ground. At the very start, the announcement around the Loss and Damage Fund. We are at COP28. Developing nations have been looking for a commitment from the North for the decades that this process has been going on to help them pay the costs of adaptation. The amounts of money going into the Loss and Damage Fund, they're not huge, but even if it's a symbolic win, it's a massive and important start. Some of the things that have been exciting here on the ground at COP, I've been really impressed at what is our clearly greater ability to kind of monitor and understand what's happening with climate and nature and biodiversity in real time. I was at the Climate Action Sustainability Innovation Forum yesterday, where we presented with Planet, the folks who have all the little satellites circling the Earth and measuring it every day. They're a partner of ours. We use their data to look at biodiversity impacts, to look at ecosystems, to think about that as we assess what climate impacts will have on things like site locations for transmission lines. So we're at a point in the world where we need to electrify everything. The grid is clearly not ready. If we can look in advance at a plan for where transmission lines to support the grid will go and determine if excessive temperatures are going to make the line sag, figure out if flooding is going to affect the towers that are holding the lines up, and make a better plan in advance, and especially put those lines in places where communities want them, then we're going to have wins. And we've got to expand that capacity, and we've got to have people accept it. Another really exciting piece here has been what's happening around the disclosure agenda. We live in a bit of an alphabet soup in terms of reporting and disclosure on sustainability-related performance today. Much of that is suddenly regulatory. In addition to the CSRD from Europe, you have what's happened in California, and there's lots of pots kind of simmering on the stove everywhere from Singapore to the UK, to Australia, to Canada, China, and at a national level in the US as well with the SEC. But we ran an event here today with the ISSB, and the message in the room was about the degree of harmonization, that we're agreeing underneath all of these many disclosure standards what the global baseline has to be. ISSB clearly has a huge role in that, but what's key is the fact that government policymakers, the folks actually writing the legislation, are listening. And while there are many things happening, companies that are reporting in all those different jurisdictions can count on the basic elements being the same. Another aspect that's really stood out to me here is, I don't know if it's right to call it the debate, but the conversation between the global South and the West and the North about the sustainability-related standards that are developed and how well they serve the global South. What I hear is a push coming through that we haven't taken into account the equity and economic development issues that are much more prevalent as the global South grapples with these same issues. I hope everyone's listening hard and taking away the message that our ESG standards, our guidelines, our frameworks have to work in every local context. And let's face it, the equity agenda is important for all of us. It's at the heart of the just transition. I've been encouraged to hear that voice come through louder and stronger at this COP. I hope it's going to be part of what we see in play after this event is over.